This is a clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back with here on this Thursday morning, tracking a severe thunderstorm warning now for portions of Alachua and Putnam counties here in the area until 11 a.m. Seeing some wind enhancement here, some weak rotations. So if this were to intensify, a tornado warning have to be issued. I know there is a tornado watch remaining in effect here until about 3 o'clock. So conditions still favorable as we're looking here over the next little bit. That threat should eventually kind of shift more toward areas just outside of the viewing circle, maybe by one or so. But right now, we gotta be mindful we still have this potential existing. So right now, rotation maybe not quite as tight as it was a moment ago. Wasn't tight enough for a tornado warning here, thankfully. But we're seeing some of this there north of Hawthorne over the last little bit there, and you see a little bit of this there south. East of Interlochen right now as well. So we just got to be kind of careful here just in case things try to emerge on us here that are a little bit more dangerous. But right now, looking at this warning box in play for parts of Alachua and Putnam counties. So at 10:18, it's a severe thunderstorm located over Hawthorne or 7 miles southwest of Melrose, moving northeast about 35 miles an hour. Interlochen, Hawthorne, Melrose Landing, Hollister, Florholm, Johnson, Putnam Hall, Manville, and Grove Park under this. I know just going to have to continue to track things here and make sure they don't become a little bit stronger in terms of maybe having to get a tornado warning. We had so many of them earlier on, had that damage in Flagler County. We're talking about that earlier on, damage in Citrus County, damage toward Pinellas County. So it's been an active period here across the Sunshine State for sure. Some of that in our area, some of it not, but nonetheless here, a storyline to touch on here for sure. As you see the tornado watch, that's the yellow zone, and I'll move it so you can see all that here. That's in that yellow area until 3, the broad zone. So I do think the threat here will be trimmed here as we're looking. Some of those northern Florida counties will be knocked out of this here a little bit sooner. Maybe Taylor County will be one of the first ones to go because this band here, you can kind of see that coming through that, so the really end of that threat here from this setup. You can kind of see that wind direction shifting back from behind here to some degree. So the overall setup gets a little bit calmer as you're looking out that way. As you get out toward the west, looking at instability, you can kind of see where that cuts off. Surface-based Cape here still extending up in towards some of these counties for now, and that's why there's that tornado watch in play. Looking here at the supercell composite, the numbers maybe not quite as high as they were earlier on. Some of the wind fields maybe not as favorable as they were earlier on, but still they are going to be something to monitor. The energy here, I mean, it's something that in some cases not as important this time of year, but if you get the mix in right, and we had the winds up there just so nasty with those wind fields earlier on, the wind shear and play, the wind parameters, I should say, and that interaction was really causing problems for us here. But still watching the concern for sure as we're seeing some of this activity. You see a little bit of light in here and there, but that's not the predominant story. Still watching here for some severe weather potential, though I know the low pressure, still watching that. I don't see quite as low of a low per se, so not quite as deep as it was earlier on. As we're looking at things here, the infrared satellite less disorganized now. So that's good news, but you can see here the tornado watch in play. Just trying to let you guys know what's going on with that. There's your tornado risk from SPC. You're watching that there. You have your wind risk, and then don't really have a hail risk, but there's just slight risk in general that we are following as we continue to give you guys the latest updates on everything that's going on. I know NOMA's just good discussions right now. Temperatures, I mean, we were sitting at 80 degrees here before sunrise in some of these spots here, which with that, coupled with the type of wind parameters we were seeing earlier on, was causing problems again. Having an apparent tornado in Flagler County around Palm Coast this morning, apparent, if not really a confirmed type tornado at this point toward Citrus County there around Crystal River, and then in Pinellas County, and in Eden / Clearwater beach area there, dealing with some big time problems in isolated instances, some a little bit more prominent. It seems like just at first glance, based on what we've seen with the pictures, had a chance to review those over the last hour and a half on some of the different sources there in terms of the different local sources in those communities, for instance, those Facebook pages like the Sheriff's Office and whatnot. review that and then to see what we had with the debris signature earlier on. We saw that live here in the coverage earlier on in citrus. That seemed like to have been the more predominant system there in terms of the more significant type of damage there. So you can see the temperature contrast there. 68 Tallahassee, not the severe potential really there. 84 in Perry right now. Still, that is very warm for this time. And I even seen a little bit of maybe sun trying to peek through earlier on there as we're looking at some different things here in the weather center as we continue to give you guys the very latest on what's going on. Here's our EF scale. I mean, it's a possibility that we had something into the EF2 range. It'll depend on the damage surveys, but that debris was really locked and high on that Citrus County storm very early on in the morning before 2 a.m. around Crystal River. As we keep looking here at things, let's pull the radar back on. And I know new advisory report to Putnam until 11:15 this morning. So that's something to take note of there. As we just keep on looking at things here, giving you guys the very latest. Let's go ahead and see here where else you might want to go with this right now. How about visible satellite? That might be good. So let's go ahead and see what that's kind of showing. If there are any of those breaks, can be a little bit more visible here. See a few of them. Saw some of that toward Bradford County there. I know. Hopefully Saturday will look better for that solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse here in terms of cloud cover forecast. And it looked like it was earlier on. Looks like it's going to be clearing out quicker now in terms of the days ahead here in terms of that, which would be good. Got to remember to wear the solar eclipse glasses though for that Saturday here from just before maybe 12 to around 3 or so the Eastern time, depending on where you're at within the viewing circle. Of course, you have to go out toward Texas for the annular solar eclipse type of impact there. Took toward the glasses the whole time there though in that instance. So again, this storm is not quite as impressive here as it was looking when we first came on, but things can change quick. So I don't want to wrap things up here yet. We have the tornado possible tag. We got to be kind of careful still in here. You know, things honestly don't look that impressive here. You have some weak rotation west of Palatka between Interlaken and Palatka right now, but again, things don't look as organized as they did earlier on when this warning first got issued here around 10:19. So just kind of looking at things here. Let me go ahead and jump on over to the broad perspective, and you can kind of see here the rainfall amounts 3-4 inches in some of these spots like toward Tallahassee. In these lighter reds, I mean, that's getting over 3 inches really in the last 12 hours or so. Some timelines a little bit less to that. Some of these purples, I know the color table is kind of weird, but that's more like 2 inches of dark purple, give or take. But yeah, I know around Bradford, kind of got 2.5 showing up on here. Oh, Cal, some of this closer to 4-5 inches there. We had St. John and Flagler, a lot of rain. It was a deluge here. Still got some rain to go, but most of the rain, the most impactful rain's probably falling at this point. You see the thunderstorm warning being canceled there now for Alachua and Putnam County. So that's good news. Seeing that here again, it was issued a little bit earlier on. We're watching that potential, but right now being canceled out. Tornado watch still remains in effect though, technically till 3 o'clock. So we have to be kind of careful here. Remain on guard in this type of situation. We have all that rain that fell earlier on. And we had a little bit of rotation down there, a little bit weaker now. Let's watch this up in northwestern parts of Clay County. Getting a little bit further north than we've been tracking things earlier on. That's why we don't want to wrap it up here yet. Oh yeah, that's really tidying up. All of a sudden there in northwestern Clay County. So might be a deviation from our description here. If that continues to intensify, we could get some type of warning in northern Clay County here. That seems there once it got, you see around Highland. It was not too much, but then past Highland there, 1031, 1034, 1036. We're seeing rotation winds of about 60 combined there on the velocity scan. So it's not really tight yet, but at least might get some type of severe thunderstorm warning turn a possible tag here soon if that kind of continues to maintain itself in the southern Duval. And that's why the justification seems to have been there and the reasoning for that tornado watch being all the way up into Duval County there, at least part of that county right here in this case, southern part, with a potential threat of some rotation moving on in over the next little bit. So, gotta be mindful of that then. Gotta be kind of tracking things there. Can't lay your guard down in these type of situations. So, let's see what else we might have here. I'm going to go ahead and jump on over here to our broad perspective. Let me go ahead and jump to the broad perspective right now. Again, you can see the yellow. That's our tornado watch until 3 o'clock here. Until we get this area out, you see around Perry, so west there, the threat from this is over with. It would seem. So that's the good news, and the risk area has been trimmed back accordingly as we're looking. So right now, no formal risk of severe weather for that toward the west here, from here on out per se, today, tomorrow, and the like. So that's good news. We'll continue to track things just in case things were to shift or come back into the picture. But it seemed like a little bit quicker progression. We were thinking maybe things would kind of maybe redevelop tomorrow. Let me check our modeling for that, because right now it seems like that might not be the case here. As we kind of look at this point, that'd be good news, obviously, if that kind of continues to stay, the storyline here continues to stay the headline per se. I mean, that's what we want to see in this type of setup. So, again, just checking here, just tracking everything. I know, I'm just going to kind of keep looking here. So after today, tomorrow, it looks a lot quieter now for that Friday. Which would be some good news here in the grand scheme of things. A lot quieter now for Friday. Still some shower activity around, but the stuff doesn't look deep enough for convection. A little bit of an interesting low toward the Carolinas. Saturday, this is a cloud cover forecast. H-Report still kind of keeping some cloud around Saturday morning, unlike some of our other forecast models here. So that means maybe not an all clear there. I might have to really watch that eclipse forecast in, because you might only get maybe peaks at times between the cloud. The base triple R is right. So at least we're able to shift our attention a little bit. We still got to watch these storms. We could still have tornado warnings at any point here, as we have the tornado watch in play. But at least we're able to kind of switch the conversation a little bit to talk about the solar eclipse here, the partial solar eclipse on Saturday. So again, just continuing to give you guys the very latest here. We took some of the power outage numbers, see what we got here at this point. I know Florida, 12,175 customers in the dark here right now. That's the latest information that we're getting in here. 502 customers out in Dixie County. Of course, they were hit so hard by Dahlia, so they don't need any more nasty weather. They haven't had necessarily any real formal type of warnings that I recall. So there's thunderstorm tornado warnings out there, but nonetheless, still don't need nasty weather. Various Horseshoe Beach and the like. Lafayette County, 57 customers in the dark. Some of these areas too might have things a little more vulnerable to lesser wind impacts here too. But 172 customers out in Suwannee County, Union County 80, Marion County 2,472, Citrus County over 3,000 customers in the dark, and Sumter County a little over 1,000. So I see Lafayette and Madison now under significant weather advisory until 11:15. Wind gusts to about 40 miles an hour. A possibility with this little cluster here as that kind of moves away from Taylor, and that'd probably get us to clear that tornado watch here pretty soon for Taylor. We'll continue to track it here, but I'll still watch some stuff northwest of Lauraville. Northwest of Lauraville here. You can kind of see what we're dealing with. Again, trying to give you guys the very latest here on this scenario. Northwest of Mayo as well. And that's a significant weather advisory. Let's go ahead and check here. You have that advisory toward Putnam. Let's go back to the Duval-based radar, Jacksonville based radar there. You can see that rotation still to some degree. This is a very highly popular area, so we've got to keep a close eye on it. It's in northern Clay County. Some greens and reds coming together there. A little bit here west of Palatka, coming right near the airport, really in Palatka then. So we'll watch that to see if we get some type of upgrade and warning there over the next few moments. So just have to be careful. Still kind of a low in Bradford County at this point in time, which is good. Hadn't been as bad in terms of some of the impacts here as other areas, though, where we're based, but we still had a lot of rain, and the threat's not over. The tornado watch is still in play. officially all the way till 3 o'clock. So you can't let it go down here in this type of situation. Let's go ahead right now and go back to the other perspective. Again, you see the core temperatures to the north, and then we also have dew points a little lower down there. Look how high they are. I mean, that's almost unbelievable. 81 dew point in Keystone there. I mean, that just shows you the moisture levels and the lower levels. Those are just extraordinary. And to get that coupled with the wind parameters we've been seeing, that's not a good combination. So again, just have to be really cognizant here what we're dealing with, just in case things are able to kind of twist on up on us a little bit more, take advantage, and possibly get down toward the surface. So again, looking here, there's some of that rotation. This is, I mean, an area almost where we check our surface phase cape. We're still in there, but it deepens here as, I mean, you get further south, it's a little bit higher, but as we get further north, it's a little bit lower in numbers. So that means less energy for the storm axis to work with, but it's enough here, sufficient enough, I would say, to potentially get some of that wind damage potential, or maybe if they issue the tornado warning, if it tightens up more, maybe a quick tornado down toward the surface. No official warning right now. We're just sticking with it because we had that warning that was canceled early for parts of Alachua and Putnam. So again, that's such a highly popular area. I hate to jump away and then we get a warning real quick and then folks are caught off guard. I mean, if it keeps kind of, the latest scan's a little weaker, that keeps becoming a little more diffuse, you might wrap it up because it's a situation too. You don't want to be on the air too long here for stuff that's not warm, but not just that even. You have stuff here. Sometimes when we really talk about certain areas, there's another area, if we can switch to a different stream, there's a pretty good gap between, and it's not the worst thing to do to be off for a while. If the other area comes together, then folks will kind of know better exactly what we're talking with the thread and the description and the like. But we made it really broad when we had to go an hour after hour earlier on. Again, I'm still tracking things, still watching here. Let me see what I might have on some of our other sources. Again, I'm just trying to give you guys the latest information. Officially no warning here now, so that's good. We had all that problem here, but down toward Central Florida this morning. Again, it seems that we had tornadoes, and we'll still have to get everything kind of sorted out. But it seems like we had tornadoes there in Citrus County or around areas there like Crystal River, areas there on Dunedin / Clearwater Beach, and then in Flagler County around Palm Coast. So might have had some more action. We had no warning that was confirmed for Odessa, Florida, but so far at least that I've seen, I haven't seen anything. But again, we'll continue to check here for the latest. It didn't seem like there was a clear debris signature on radar, but the public at that point in time had confirmed a tornado in real time during the night. But it was dark, so it would have been kind of hard to confirm that in some ways in real time. You would have to do it based on damage versus actually maybe visual confirmation. But this is weaker and broader here as it moves toward 295. Seeing one's more like 45 miles an hour now, moving toward 295 versus where it's maybe getting on the edge of severe for a scan or two. So that's a good news development here, right on the edge of the boundary of the instability too. Okay, so we're looking toward Putnam County now. A little bit of weak rotations down the north side of Palatka. And move right over the airport. Didn't get much of a wind speed measure there so far, which is a good sign. Northern Alachua, a little bit of weak rotation on Orange Heights, but that was kind of displaced a little bit possibly. A little bit of wind enhancement around Gainesville. We have some winds here in northern parts of Lafayette County. Of course, they were hit so hard, some of these different areas, by Hurricane Dahlia. I know you have Dahlia Park in there. So again, let's see some of that damage again if you guys aren't familiar with it. From Hurricane Dahlia, I mean, we're now 6 weeks past it, but 1 week after anyway. And some of the cleanup process, I'm sure, still ongoing. But 1 week after, this is what it looked like there around that Dowling Park area. So again, just kind of giving you guys the idea there. In Suwannee County, and they're still getting some rain around, so some of the boot tops and the roofs and the like could be impacted by this scenario here this morning. As we continue here to watch things, see a little bit of lightning even popping up in there, so tornado watch still in play. So, I mean, in these situations, most folks are not going to get it like we had with a storm, hurricane. You had those winds over a more widespread area. Well, tornado can take a path, but it's likely not going to be a repeat here for most folks. I mean, there's a few spots that got obviously hit worse than what we had with the hurricane, but Is tornadoes are more about concentrated damage versus a hurricane, a little more widespread. Of course, you can't see their squall lines. It can be kind of widespread, but they're not going to be the magnitude of a hurricane with the wind damage generally. So some different factors. Significant advisory now here for northwestern Suwannee County to around 11:15 this morning. So again, we'll continue to watch that, continue to track that here with the latest information coming on in. You see that new advisory, including areas there like Live Oak and then Dowling Park and New Bern. So there you go. If we can zoom in on Roy Tighter, Dowling Park right there. At this time, are you guys are you getting a heavy rain there right now? Maybe gusts to into about 40. Very weak rotation, maybe on the Doppler, but nothing overwhelming at this point. Nothing enough for any type of warning. We go to the Moody radar, still not much on that, but still a little bit more on there, the angle, but it's not anything too crazy. We had that quick warning on Hawthorne there, but it weakened on out, broadened on out. We have a little bit area of wind enhancement northeast of Palatka, but it's not the most overwhelming here right now either, so that's good. So things again looking a little tamer than they were earlier. Said that earlier, and then things would really get up there enough for more tornado warnings right now. This setup would seem to not favor that as much. Looking at the models last night and the days ahead here, the days as we look back there, I mean the wind fields were not favoring maybe the overall rotational threat lasting as long here into the day. More instability, but less of that wind shear factor. So less of those wind parameters here in play anyway. So again, that's kind of the storyline there. As you kind of look at things, you kind of watch the overall situation. You watch things as they do develop. So again, just a tracking here with the overall situation, with the overall meteorology of things and the like. Just kind of checking some of our different details here this morning. Trying to let you guys know. I see we're getting some information now, some delayed reporting out of Putnam County. Power lines there down along State Road 21, 5 miles northwest of Johnson here. Looks like near an elementary school. Tree blocking the roadway around 5:40 this morning. So that stuff we were watching earlier on, causing problems again. Cleanup process is not all clear here for these areas with the tornado watch in play. So you still got to be kind of careful here. Can't be letting your guard down. See that little storm there in southern Duval County. You got a little bit of green and red. It's not really too close together, but we'll watch it here. This tropical air mass is kind of tricky to work with. Nothing in terms of debris or anything like that there. Putnam County. A little bit of weak rotation there northeast of Palatka. Nothing really showing up there, doesn't seem at least. As you look at Suwannee County here. Looking at things, you see some heavy downpours in the shot there. Again, conditions should be getting better in Perry. Of course, they got hit so hard by Idalia. Looking back there in the timeline into Warda parts there of Taylor County, they had all that wind and that came on through there, the extreme wind warning and the like. Of course, the conditions improving there, but this is what it looked like a week after the storm, and so they're still vulnerable. That wind, rain here, much less wind, but some rain definitely coming on through and making things damp out there this morning. So that's definitely a storyline as our computer's working really hard to give you guys the latest. It's been a long, long morning here in the Weather Center. Probably about to wrap things back up again unless we see something new that we're running to touch on. Again, just trying to see here what's going on, what's happening here as every detail still comes on in. So again, let's see here. Let me go ahead and go on over. I think where do we want to take this? Let me go ahead and look here. Again, looking out here at some of our different zones. I mean, we had that area in Taylor County. We had around Perry being impacted. And then you have these blue tarps and the like here, and then we also had a situation here. I mean, we were tracking it here and now with the wind when that was live on the air during our coverage 6 or so weeks ago. I guess 6 weeks and 1 day ago at this point. You can see some of that debris even flying around there. So even a little bit of rain. They've had a lot of rain at this point. So adding some insult to injury with those boot tarps, not necessarily wind damage. Still a little bit gusty at times, gust to 34 recently there, but things should be improving now in that area. So that's the good news. Again, tracking all that here for you. Still gonna have maybe a little bit more nasty weather towards Horseshoe Beach and the like here this morning. So we'll continue to watch that area, obviously. Here as we still have that tornado watch officially in play. Hopefully, I mean, we already had a lot of rain, but hopefully the worst is passed by that area in terms of what we're going to see today. 12-hour rainfall. There's an inch or two down there. I mean, you see Horseshoe Beach about an inch and a half. And that's an area that we looked at a few weeks after the storm there. All that storm started devastation. That's what it looked like a few weeks after in Dixie County. So just kind of reviewing that here again. If you guys didn't get an idea of that, that's just what we saw there firsthand, looking at that in person going back a few weeks. And that's from the storm, but just with the rain, a little bit of wind, even maybe a little coastal flooding. This stuff's more vulnerable, so that's what we're kind of making that the point there. But again, just kind of checking things here, different scans. Again, let me just see here, rotation tracker. Still watching a little bit of stuff in Duval County, southern Duval here at this point in time. Again, doesn't look all that impressive up there. That's the good news, but tornado watch continues to a 3. This doesn't look really impressive, but we'll watch toward Hastings here. You can see a line. It looks like State Road 207. A little bit of weak rotation moving toward Hastings. Probably not enough for a warning yet, but could get us a thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag if we're not careful here over the next little bit around Hastings. So that's something to watch. I mean, if it's not something really impressive, we don't get a tornado warning. Do not get a tornado warning, but maybe a thunderstorm warning. If it's not really impressive, maybe we just post about it if it's similar to this as it goes further toward the east and the northeast here. But that's something that we'll kind of play by ear. But again, looking off towards Suwannee County here in Live Oak, watching a significant weather advisory there until 11:15. Again, we talked about that area over the last little bit. Again, just continuing to watch things here. Continuing to give you guys the very latest on the different developments. I'm going between all the different tilts here on velocity if you want to know what I'm doing. So nothing crazy over Hastings right now, but we'll keep tracking, keep monitoring here. The logo's still red for the time being. So we just got to be kind of careful here in this overall setup. We'll give you guys the latest here as necessary as the situation does progress here. Again, getting some different areas of spin down to the surface. It would at least appear initially. So part of Flagler, part of Citrus. So of course, Flagler's in an area. It's a part of our 62 counties here as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things. Pulling up our coverage map. Citrus is just out there, Levy/Marion, as we're looking at the overall geography. And then we had Pinellas, which is further down in west central Florida. Let's go ahead and go back here. New significant advisory, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Possible south central St. John's, as well as northeastern Putnam through 11:30. So we'll keep tracking that there. If that were to tighten again, we could get some type of warning, but it's not there at this point. But it'll be something to monitor for the Hastings area. I'm seeing 3 a.m. a tree was downed, blocking the roadway 1 mile northwest of Orange Springs in Putnam County along State Road 21. That time, 3 a.m. estimated by radar. So definitely getting some of these winds to come on in. You see Duval County again, heavy downpours there. Northern Duval, especially if it's some southern Duval, where we're watching that rotation. Not as much around Starksville, but Keystone's getting some heavier rain acts in there right now. And then off through Gainesville here too. So just going to have to keep looking at things here. Again, seeing some weak rotation around Hastings, but it's nothing overwhelming here. If it weren't already on, we wouldn't be talking about it here. But that latest color there kind of weakened a bit. We had 30 winds going toward the radar latest scan. Well, seeing maybe just a tad bit of weakening here on some of this. I mean, we had more like maybe 32 inbound there. And then you had on that closer to 30 max. And that latest one maybe back up a little bit on the winds toward the radar, but there's not much red there. Maybe went to 40 toward the radar, but right now much away from the radar site right now. So we'll keep tabs on it, obviously, around Hastings. We'll keep tabs on it. Just have to keep monitoring, see a little bit of upscale growth there around Hastings. So I'm just tracking that here for you. A little bit of rotation there, possibly, and some of this other accent toward Crescent Beach, but nothing overwhelming, nothing too impressive here. This area near Keystone, just a tad bit of weak rotation showing up now in some of the latest scans here. Some of the latest scans. Let me go ahead and zoom back out a little bit and then zoom back in. Again, we'll watch this. This is an area that could become a little more favorable as it gets further off. You have Steve 207 in here. Okay, so you have to be kind of careful. I mean, rotation tracker not showing it as much at all further from the radar, but let's continue to track it here. Continue to monitor it. Again, your tornado watch is here. Let's go ahead and jump back again. Let me see what we have here. Again, gusty winds in the 20 range. A lot of spots peeking out there, but of course, thunderstorm, storm acts in here, giving you guys stronger winds in spots. So, okay, we already had the damage we talked about in Flagler County. We were giving you guys the latest on that earlier on. If you want to see more about that, I know it's a situation where just kind of want you guys to go to a source here. Let me tell you about that. There where we have the chance. So, kind of give you guys the information here. So, I know there's some different images coming out. Can't really give you maybe access directly to it, but some different things are being shared there. Flagler Weather Info Facebook page. This can be helpful here. So there's maybe a roof of a home or mobile home. Can't tell for sure. So that's kind of scary. And then information from the city of Palm Coast. Palm Coast Gov Facebook page there has the different things. If you scroll down, some pictures of the damage earlier on. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, we just got a tornado warning just south of the area, so we need to jump over to that. But impacted area in the Indian Trails B section of Palm Coast. If you look down 4 hours ago, so it's quite a bit of the damage there. I know we've been looking at that earlier on. Just wanted to pass that along. And then looking there on Citrus County, some different pages here too. And the likes. So just want to touch on that. Let's go ahead and jump down to this tornado warning. This outside of the area. It's not quite headed directly in our area at this point. But a water spout may be coming ashore. Another Citrus and Hernando, or at least Citrus. So we had so many of those during the night. We started out with that, and I mean, we're talking about a tornado that hit in that county in Citrus, a little further north. I mean, we're talking about in the 1 o'clock hour or so. We're now getting to the 11 o'clock hour. So again, some green and red here. It's not really tight, but they're in the Wiki-Wachi Gardens. So at 11 o'clock, radar indicated water spout is located just offshore of Pine or over Pine Island, or 8 miles northwest of Spring Hill, moving northeast at 40. So Spring Hill, Wiki-Wachi, Pine Island, North Wiki-Wachi, and Wiki-Wachi Gardens around 11:05. You have Royal Highlands, High Point, some of those areas in the suburban acres, Glen Lakes, Heatherwood, Floral City, under this tornado warning to 11:45. It's not something we stay on for necessarily, not really tight, but gotta be careful in those local areas. But it's not within our 62 counties here at this point. Of course, if stuff to the north tightened, it's a different story. We had the nocturnal threat here. It was more organized overall, but we had a little more strong tornado potential too. But if something becomes more evident as strong potential, of course, that's something we may have to come back on for. Probably would, especially if it's in a more densely populated area. And talking about outside of the area, of course, any type of tornado threat, anyone in our area for a tornado would be on immediately. So again, looking at things there east of Keystone, a little bit of weak rotation there. We'll watch that. Just really weak, but you gotta pay attention. Gotta be mindful. Just gotta be a little careful. Again, right around Stable 206 winds to about 40 right now. It would seem to be the predominant story, maybe just north there. Or 206 being a little more clear in that latest scan. So still planning to do our formal update later tonight. That could change if we really get busy with warnings here through the rest of the morning and the afternoon here. But still planning on our formal update later tonight. But I think we're going to wrap it for now. No local warnings in play. It's been like that for a little bit. We dropped that one early by a good margin for Alachua and Putnam. We could get more local warnings. We'll let you know about them as necessary here from the Weather Center on the different platforms. Of course, that red box is outside of the area for now. It may try to clip Marion later on, but right now I'd say maybe a situation that'll take a little while at least. So maybe by then it'll weaken down some. That'd be good. That'd be good here in this type of situation. If that ends up being the case here, let me kind of look real quick at something. So again, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. So got a couple little areas of rotation, but the one more back to the west will say. So I mean northeast at 40. That's about an hour from Marion if it can hold together in that direction. But I think with this you can kind of see it if you look. It actually might. It goes north of Weeki Wachee possibly, and then eventually going through some of these areas and maybe clipping southeastern Marion, and maybe become an issue for Flagler later on if we get way down the road. So I know some of that stuff when Flagler might have been from some of that other action further back earlier on too, but more about instability, a little bit less of the wind overall in the pattern, but still enough for tornado warnings like that. Wonder where Citrus and Hernando counties until 11:45, just around and north of Brooksville here with the worst of this. It would seem we have Weeki Wachee in here, so that's an area that we're watching, that we're tracking. Just outside of our 62 counties, Citrus County, just outside of our zone. Nothing overwhelming there, but I know that one around areas there earlier on in toward Crystal River, it wasn't overwhelming either, and we had a situation here that was more aggressive there than we would have liked. So that's why you gotta always make sure for this type of stuff to take further precautions and multiple ways to get alerts. Watch in some cases we're not on. If it's outside of our local area, watch those local affiliates when we're not on for the latest, which we're about to wrap it since we don't have anything locally and nothing overwhelming, but enough to still cause issues. See some stuff west there of Tampa. We'll keep looking at it. We'll keep giving you guys the up-to-date information here. But for now, let's go ahead and wrap it, I think. Again, we're here, we're watching things, we're tracking things here in the Weather Center, trying to give you guys the very latest here on this pattern. And we'll be right back in here with another stream if it's necessary. Otherwise, we'll be back later tonight with more weather information. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for trusting me again. The latest updates here live from the Weather Center in North Central Florida as warranted.